Was working with an executive leadership team recently, doing a team retreat. And part of the process of doing that is interviewing everybody and doing a team assessment first. And so the CEO of the company is the one who brought me in, and he said, I don't know, it's just frustrating because we're not as effective as I think we could be or we should be, and I don't know what else to do. He's like, I work really hard to get everybody's opinions, and I ask a lot of questions, and I try to make sure that all the voices are heard, and for some reason we're stalling out, and it's beyond the COVID pandemic. And so when I started to have the conversations and the interviews with the members of the executive leadership team, something very interesting became aware to me. And that is that the members of the executive leadership team, while they appreciated that the president asked their opinion, and they liked that they had a seat at the table and they had a voice, they were incredibly frustrated that he didn't make decisions. And so we addressed this at the team retreat. It was a virtual team retreat, and we did some activities to create a safe space and an engaging and fun way for this dialogue to happen. And what was uncovered was that the leader was under the impression that he would be the best leader if he strove for consensus. Strived? I don't know the right word. But he felt like that was his role, is to make sure that all 6 members of the leadership team had consensus before he made any decision, because he didn't want anybody to feel bad. He wanted everybody to be happy and to be behind the decisions. But inadvertently, it was creating frustration. And this is one of those cases where our strength taken to the extreme can become a weakness. So his strength was really wanting to have the team feel all a part of something bigger and have their voice be heard. But the place where this became a weakness was in that he couldn't pull the trigger and make a decision until everybody agreed. And so what that resulted in is that the team members were making decisions without him and without going to the team, because they knew if they brought something into their weekly team leadership meeting, it was going to stall out and they were going to talk it to death. It's like analysis paralysis. In my blog this week, if you saw it, I talked about my daughter, Josie, who is registering for her sophomore year high school classes. And holy cow, I don't know if the high schools where you are listening and tuning in from have so many options, but there were hundreds of options. And Josie, understandably, was like completely overwhelmed thinking about the perfect choices. And it shut her down, because she wasn't just thinking about what classes do I need to register for next year, because those classes determined then what classes she could take in her junior and senior year, which of course determined what college she could get into, which determined what major she could take, which determined what job she could get, which determined what her career would look like in her life. And she just quickly shut down because the perfect became the enemy of the good. Similarly, when leaders try to make the perfect decision, it becomes the enemy of the good decision. And the highest performing teams and leaders need to make decisions. So let me put it through the lens of the core. And if you didn't get the blog, every Wednesday we send out Thoughtfully Fit tips. Go ahead and go to darcyloma.com and sign up so that you can get that little jolt of insight, awareness, hopefully motivation every Wednesday in your email box. And if you go to darcyloma.com, you can go in and read under the blog tab all of our past Thoughtfully Fit tips. And so it always comes back to engaging your core, which we know is focusing on our choices and what we control. And it's 3 steps: pause, think, act. In this case, what happened with this leader and what happened with my daughter is the cycle of think. And I'm going to think, and I'm going to think some more, and I'm going to think, and I want it to be perfect. And before I act, I need to make sure that I've looked at every single course option so I don't choose wrong. And before I make a decision, I'm going to make sure every team member agrees with that decision. The problem is, it means that there's often no action. And you have to do all 3 in order to be successful, in order to be thoughtfully fit. And so it's better to pause, think, ask yourself some thoughtful questions, ask your team members some thoughtful questions, and then act, make a decision. And then you can always pause and think, how did that decision go? What was the impact? And do we need to adjust and pivot our decision? Because the research shows that high-performing teams and the strongest leaders will act decisively and make the best decision they can with the information that they have. And then equally as decisively change that decision if new information comes in. They do not wait until there is consensus, until everybody agrees. That's one of many things that makes leadership hard, is you got to make a bold decision, and oftentimes a decision that not everybody agrees with. And so 2 tips, if you're a leader watching this, if you're a team manager and you have to make some tough decisions. One is people need to weigh in order to buy in. So it's not that you don't ask all of their opinions. Of course you do. Absolutely. That's important, that they get to weigh into your decision, because if you just make decisions without letting them weigh in, they're going to probably sabotage that opinion or that decision. They're going to go have that post-meeting meeting and say, oh, I can't believe, well, I'm not going to do that. And the second tip is, if you make a tough decision after everybody's weighed in and there isn't consensus, then part 2 of that team meeting is to ask, what do you need to, in order to get behind this decision? So I know and I understand you don't agree with the decision that I'm making. I heard all of your opinions and I appreciate them. And no decision I make right now is going to please 100% of everybody. So for those of you who don't agree with the decision that I'm making right now for our company, for our organization, for this team, what do you need in order to get behind this decision? That's critical. That allows the conversation to continue to happen in the room. So anybody who might leave and go and either consciously or unconsciously sabotage that decision because they're upset that it wasn't what they agreed with, now, as the leader, you're creating space for that dialogue to happen, to say, what do you need to support this decision? And creating that space is essential. So the executive leadership team that I did this retreat with, they were at the end really looking forward to moving forward with this new alliance that they had designed. And the leader expressed to me in our debrief session that while he's a little bit nervous because he's used to creating a space for dialogue to try to get consensus, he actually feels relieved because the pressure is off of trying to figure out how to get everyone on the same page. And he's excited to lean into what his team is saying they want, which is for him to make that decision boldly. And then equally as boldly pivot and make a new decision if new information comes in and they find out that was not the right decision. So share in the comments what this is sparking for you, what new awareness you're having. And as your workout for the week, your Thoughtfully Fit workout, I want you to pause, think, ask yourself questions, good questions. What classes do I want to take, right? What are questions of your team? How do you see this? But then commit to acting and to make a decision. And let me know how it goes. We'd love to support you and hear what new awareness you're having. And don't worry about it being perfect, because it doesn't need to be perfect. I'm so grateful that you join me every week for Thoughtfully Fit Thursday, whether live or watching the recording afterwards. We have some really exciting things coming up this spring and summer that you stay tuned for. We've got the Thoughtfully Fit book is coming out June 1st. We'll have pre-orders soon. And the Thoughtfully Fit gym we're developing, so you can go and get your workouts in and get supported. And we're creating an online asynchronous course so that you can help your employees be thoughtfully fit, called the Intentional Team Player. So stay tuned. That's all in the works. It's coming. Happy Thursday, everybody. Take care. Thank you so much.